going on, everybody? Jeremy Ritz here. Courage pays better than fear trading. New inflation data is coming this Thursday with the consumer price index at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. And then on Friday, we're going to get the producer's price index at 8:30 a.m. as well. So it's going to be back-to-back days of inflation data that in the past has significantly moved the market. However, with everything that has transpired this week and last week in regards to tariffs, the question remains is, will inflation and the new data have the type of impact that it's had on the past with the market? And that's what I wanted to talk about today in this video about this brand new inflation data coming to us this Thursday and Friday. Check it out. All right, so as I said, we are going to get new CPI on Thursday at 8:30 a.m. And we're really looking at a few things here. We're looking at the inflation rate month over month, what it's going to be. We're looking at the inflation rate year over year, and also the core inflation rate month over month and year over year. And you can see that when you click on that calendar icon in TradingView, you're able to access this data. And we can see here listed under this Thursday, April 10th, the different inflation reports, the forecasts for those reports, and what it was prior. And really what we're looking to see is that the numbers that come in, you can see the actual column here, they should come in line with whatever the forecast is or be lower. Market makers do not want to see that number tick up. And if it does, a hotter report would probably send the market down as it has in the past. And then on Friday, we're going to get the producer price index report. That's going to be at 8:30 a.m. as well. And you can see the producer price index month over month. Again, it's going to have the forecast. It'll have the prior number. And then we have core PPI month over month. And we'll take a look at these here in a second. But my biggest question for this week is, with everything that is happening in regards to tariffs, the big announcement that we got last week with all of the reciprocal tariffs that were put into place from the Trump administration, we saw what has happened. We entered bear territory on the broader markets. The SPX finally hit below that 20%. Will this data even matter? And that's really the big question, because in the past, a cool inflation report typically led to a bump in the market, rising prices, the bulls would take charge, hotter inflation data would send the market down. And now think about this in relation to tariffs. Tariffs are by nature inflationary, so they are expected to drive up prices for the consumer, for businesses. Consumers are going to feel the pressure from businesses having to take on more costs. And so it's really a lose-lose situation in terms of what the consumer and businesses are going to be paying for services and goods. So that's the big question. Will we see an impact on stocks come Thursday and Friday with this data, or will it be a nothing burger because tariffs have just dominated everybody's attention? That's the question that we're looking to be answered when we get this information on Thursday and Friday. But if we just take a look here at the inflation report that we're going to get on Thursday for CPI, we can see that the inflation rate month over month is supposed to come in slightly lower than the prior time it was announced back in March. So it was at 0.2. It's supposed to come in at 0.1, a tick lower. We'll see what the actual numbers are. If we look at the inflation rate year over year, again, that should come in lower at 2.6 versus 2.8% the previous reporting time when it was announced back in March. And if we look at the core inflation rate month over month, we're looking at that being 0.3 versus 0.2 last month. So that is supposed to tick up a little bit. And then that core inflation rate year over year is supposed to come in at 3% versus 3.1% the previous time that was reported. All right. And so if we go to Friday, we could see for our PPI month over month, this is our producer price index. That's supposed to come in at 0.2, which is an uptick versus the 0% that came in the last time. And again, we'll see. We want to see these numbers come in alignment with expectations, and that should offer some stability to the market. If it's cooler, what I'm looking to see is, do we get a bounce in equities? If it's hot, more than likely what we will see is some more downward pressure on stocks. And a lot of you out there just watching how markets have been operating here recently off of tariff news, if we do in fact get hotter inflation, do we get the next leg lower in the market? And what I mean by that is, do we break below those 2022 all-time highs, which are currently serving as a support? Do we get down to 4,600 or even lower? And so, again, historically, over the past few years, because inflation has been a hot topic in terms of the stock market, we will need to see, with tariffs dominating the headlines, is does inflation still have an impact on how things move? And so let's test that theory. On Thursday, when CPI comes out, does a cooler number boost us? Does a hotter number drive us down? Let's test that theory. Let's see. And I'll talk about that in a later video. My thinking is that because markets are so sensitive right now, that we will see a response. And I think if it is a hotter number, that will provide a bigger move to the downside than if it's a cooler number. And here's why. Because tariffs are considered inflationary and because inflation is expected to rise as a result of the tariffs, I think that market makers will look at a cooler number as being something that is transitory, that's not going to last. So I don't think you're going to see as big of a move to the upside as we would have seen in the past. However, if the numbers come in hotter in terms of inflation, the nature of what we're dealing with right now, the nature of how tariffs are inflationary, I think we could see a significant move to the downside. So the takeaway here is hot inflation combined with the current volatile market status, the uncertainty surrounding tariffs, we are going to go down our next leg lower. Polar inflation, I think there will be a subdued, minimal push higher. That's my hypothesis heading into these reports coming on Thursday. What are your thoughts? What do you see happen? I'd love to see your comments down below. Let me know what you are thinking. And so there you have it. Be ready for this Thursday for the inflation report to come out. Again, that's the consumer price index on Thursday, the producer price index on Friday. Let's see how this all transpires and plays out. And don't forget that Friday, we also start the big banks earnings. And I'm really interested to see what CEOs are going to say about the future of their businesses, their forward guidance with all the craziness happening in the world. And I put together a video that you could check out on that, my latest edition of the Traders Podcast, episode number 50, in terms of why I think this next round of earnings could send the stock market lower. Let me know your thoughts. Will earnings drop us? Will inflation drop us? Will it lift us? Let me know your thoughts down below, and I will see you back here on Courage Pays Better Than Fear. This is Jeremy Ritz signing off.